Growing up in Taiwan, I was literally raised on American media. YouTube, movies, TV shows, all that. But I hadn't set foot in the States since I was a kid. I went when I was 5 when my sister was born, and to New York when I was 8. I remember bits and pieces of those trips, but honestly, I was way too young for it to fully register. But there was one person who completely changed how I looked at America growing up, and his name is Steph Curry. Steph got me locked into basketball and made me a die-hard Golden State Warriors fan. So for years, the Bay Area was basically the holy grail on my bucket list. Fast forward to Lunar New Year 2026. Right before my 16th birthday, I finally hopped on a plane and flew out to California for a 1 week trip. We landed at SFO, and honestly, the whole vibe hit completely different right away. My mom actually has a friend of 4. Bro, my mom actually has a friend who lives out there with her family of 4. And so they basically became our tour guides for the week and showing us around, traveling with us. But our itinerary was low-key packed out. We spent the first couple of days in San Francisco, and then we flew out of SFO to Burbank to hit Universal Studios Hollywood, and then flew right back to San Francisco for the grand finale, my first ever NBA game live at Chase Center. We landed at around 5 in the evening and took the BART straight to Union Square, met up with the family friends, and they took us right over to the Ferry Building. Got our first look at the Bay Bridge from there, and drove down Avenue of the Palms. Those steep San Francisco hills you see on the internet are no joke in real life. After a long travel day, we caught it at night to reset for day 2. Next morning started off iconic, riding in the cable cars through the city, the way the streets go up and down. We rode it all the way to Pier 39 and linked up with the family at Ghirardelli Square. From there, we drove across to Sausalito and caught views of the Golden Gate Bridge along the way and hit the gift shop for souvenirs. Wrapped up the afternoon at the Palace of Fine Arts, right as the sun was setting before heading back to Pier 39. The whole city just felt cinematic. Day 3 was a full-on mission. Took the BART and Caltrain down to Cupertino and grabbed some Mexican food and hit the road all the way to Carmel by the Sea. Even though it was pouring rain and windy as hell, the coastal views were unreal. Had dinner on San Carlos Street, and I finally stepped inside the Target for the very first time. After that, we drove out to the family's house to drop their kids off, and seeing actual American suburbia in person hit different. On the way back, we passed by Levi Stadium where the Niners played, and pulled up to an In-N-Out for my first World Double-Double. Didn't get back to the hotel till past midnight, but it was 100% worth it. Day 4, we was on our own, so we ordered a Waymo driverless car for the first time. Sitting in a car with no driver, staring itself through the city, it was kind of mind-blowing. But yeah, we spent the day exploring Cal Academy of Sciences, which was stacked with cool exhibits. But that night, it was time to catch our flight to LA out of SFO. Now, look, I didn't know what flying Alaska Airlines down the coast in February was like. Mid-flight, plane started hitting heavy turbulence and shaking so bad, I deadass thought we was gonna die.
She's still reading a book, bro.
But we survived and finally touched down at Burbank Airport. We took a taxi straight to our hotel, the Hilton right next to Universal Studios, and funny enough, being over 6,000 miles away from home in Taipei, I was already getting post-trip blues from missing the Bay Area, which made zero sense because I literally had Universal Studios Hollywood next morning. Next day, we woke up and we walked over to the park, and we actually had the VIP experience. So we got access to the VIP lounge while waiting for our guide. And before linking up with the guy, we hit the Kung Fu Panda ride and walked around the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Then our guy came and took our group on the official studio tour, which was insane. Seeing actual movie sets in person where they built entire fake hospitals just to shoot scene by scene. They even took us through the European street sets that Hollywood used back in the day whenever they needed Europe scenes without flying. We put on 3D glasses for the Transformers section and headed over to Super Nintendo World for the Mario ride. The main line was ridiculously long, but having VIP access meant we skipped past everybody. After that, we hit the Jurassic World ride and Revenge of the Mummy. Now, normally I avoid roller coasters at amusement parks, but since it was Universal, I couldn't skip out. We grabbed lunch and watched the Waterworld stunt show, which was wild. Right around this time, I checked my phone and saw news that LaMelo Ball had gotten into a car crash. After that, we went to the Harry Potter ride, and I low-key almost dropped my phone while trying to film. Once the guided tour wrapped up, we explored the rest of the park, like the Secret Life of Pets, and the sunset was so beautiful. I don't know if LA just hits different or what. When it got dark, we walked out onto Universal City Walk to check out the shops. Stopped by the NBA store out there and saw LeBron's handprint model, and his hands were way smaller than I expected. Then the worst news hit. I checked the injury report and saw Steph Curry was ruled out for the Warriors game I was going to the next day. It was their first game right after the All-Star break, and since he missed the All-Star game, we all thought he was gearing up for a comeback right after. But we weren't completely unlucky, considering he ended up missing a long stretch of games after that too. We wrapped up the night trying Taco Bell for the first time and right on City Walk before heading back to our hotel. Next morning, we hopped on a taxi to Burbank Airport. Got a quick preview of the LA streets on the drive, even though we didn't end up making it to downtown. Caught our flight back to SFO, and honestly, it was way smoother than the first flight, even though we had like a whole 1 hour delay sitting on the tarmac before takeoff. I just slept right through it. Landed at SFO, grabbed lunch at the airport, and the family friend picked us up and drove us to our hotel on O'Farrell Street. Game night was finally here, Warriors versus Celtics. Sky was looking beautiful again right as we ordered a Waymo down Market Street straight to Chase Center. Pulling up and seeing Chase Center in person was completely surreal. Like, this was the exact arena I watched on YouTube highlights for years. Walked around inside, soaking in the energy, watching pregame warm-ups, and it was actually Kristaps Porzingis' Warriors debut. The main star power was out though. Tatum was still recovering from his Achilles, Jimmy Butler was out for the season, and Steph was sidelined. Game tipped off. The Warriors stayed close in the first quarter. After that, the Celtics took over. Halftime came around and we was down 74-51 or something like that. But if you followed the Warriors around that time, you knew there was low-key comeback kings. Like their previous games, they had crazy late game turnarounds, including wins over the Grizzlies, the Suns. I remember DeSantos game winners. So the Warriors went on this insane run to cut the deficit, and the crowd went wild. End of the day, beating Jaylen Brown and the Boston Celtics without Steph was just too heavy of a lift. Warriors ended up losing 121-110. After the game, we caught a Waymo back to the hotel around 11:30 at night, and my phone was sitting at like 18%. Exhausted as hell, but witnessing my team in person made every second worth it. Next morning, we hopped on a BART and headed straight to downtown Berkeley. Passed right through Oakland on the way, which felt like a myth to me since that was where the Warriors used to play before Chase Center. Walked around UC Berkeley, soaking in my first time on a real American college campus. Then the family picked us up and we drove all the way up to Santa Rosa to the to the Snoopy Museum. Checked out the museum and the ice skating rink right next to it. My sister does figure skating, so she was in her element, but my feet was killing me in those skates, so I dipped early to grab some food. After Santa Rosa, we took a stroll through downtown Petaluma right around Keller Street. Grabbed dinner at this local spot called, I think, Cucina Paradisa. I could be wrong, I'm not really sure which one it was, just some Italian food. Right on Petaluma Boulevard, and had some spaghetti there. And it deadass was all like white folks inside, so being the only Asian family there felt kind of funny. And after dinner, we hit Trader Joe's for the very first time. Now, like between Trader Joe's and Target, I low-key don't get all the hype. Like, bro, they're just grocery stores, but Americans act like they're amusement parks. I mean, it was cool. Like, I definitely do like Target, Trader Joe's. Yeah, I just.
Have you seen this? Like a police.
We are being kidnapped.
What's your name? That's what. What's your name? Frida.
Oh, Frida Gomez?
That wrapped up our final real day of the trip. And we talked on the drive back, said our goodbyes at the hotel, and called it a night. Final morning came around, and the post-trip sadness was hitting heavy. Walked through Post and Gary Street one last time before catching a BART straight to SFO. Boarded that long flight all the way across the Pacific to Taipei. And the worst part, school started literally the next day, right after we landed for the spring semester. Went straight from watching the Warriors at Chase Center in Chile, California, back to sitting in class. But honestly, it was like a dream week and a trip that I'll never forget. Just like, the scale of everything is just so massive, from the highways to the suburban neighborhoods. So yeah, that was my 2026 Lunar New Year trip to the Bay Area and Universal Studios. Big shout out to that family for taking us around, and my parents for making it happen. And yeah.